cost, and abbreviation is FC. Okay, what does it mean? The costs that are fixed in short term running of the business and have to be paid even with no production is taking place. Got my point? For example, rent, interest on a bank loans, telephone bills. These costs do not depend on the amount of output produced. There is a certain cost, remember that, there is a certain cost you have to pay. Okay? If you have a zero production, doesn't matter, but still you have to pay that cost. Okay? For example, you are taking a home on rent. Okay? You would say, I have to go, for example, in any other city for 15 days, but you can't say that I won't pay 15 days rent. You have to pay. Doesn't matter you stay or not. Okay? The initial commitment was that you have to pay this fixed cost. Now, what is the formula of the fixed cost? Average fixed cost, AFC, is equal to total fixed cost divided by total output. Got my point? If you see the graph, on on y-axis you have a cost, on x-axis you have a output. Okay? As cost will increase or decrease, doesn't have much impact on the fixed cost. It will remain on a straight line. Okay? It does not have any kind of influence from cost, not a cost, but on the output. Okay? Average fixed cost you would see depending on somehow on the average fixed cost, like on an output. However, both average fixed cost and the average fixed cost doesn't have much influence from the output. Okay? It's a fixed cost, you have to pay at every rate. Remember that formula. Other things, variable cost, VC. The cost that are variable in the short term running of the business and pay according to the output produced. Fixed cost doesn't depend on the output, but here it depends on the production level. For example, wages, electricity bill, cost of raw material. You will get bill or you have to pay the bill depends on the amount of electricity you are going to use. Got my point? Now, what is the formula of average variable cost? This is equal to total variable cost, TVC, divided by total output. If you look at the formula, the cost depending on the output, like the cost the output you will utilize or the production you will produce, you have to pay or it will be cost accordingly. Okay? The other formula, total cost, TC, is equal to total fixed cost, TFC, plus total variable cost. Okay? Now look at the formula. This is a simple graph showing the relation between TC, mean total cost, FC, fixed cost, and variable cost. The gap between the TC and the TVC indicates the TFC. Got my point? You just have to remember the formula. At the end of the lecture, we will solve some examples. Okay? Then we have average cost or average total cost is the cost per unit of output. Average total cost, ATC, is equal to total cost divided by total output, or it's another formula is average cost is equal to average variable cost, AVC, plus average fixed cost, AFC. You can take a screenshot as well for your memorization. Now remember, average mean per unit. Okay? Average mean per unit. So will involve dividing the particular cost by the total output produced. In the graphs above, you will notice that the average variable cost and the average total cost first fall and then start rising. This is because of economics of the scale and the diseconomy of the scale respectively. As a firm increases its output, the average cost decline, but it starts growing beyond a limit, the average cost rise. The simple, again you have to remember the formula. The formula was ATC is equal to total cost divided by total output. Let's solve one example. What does it mean? Let's calculate some cost. Suppose a TV manufacturer produce 1000 TVs a month. Okay. The firm fixed cost in rent is $900 and the variable cost per unit $500. What would be its TFC? Total fixed cost, total variable cost, average variable cost, average fixed cost, and total cost be in a month. Okay, got my point? Now what we have to do, the number of units were producing 1000. Total fixed cost for 1 month is 900. Now what we have a formula? We have a formula, average fixed cost were equal to the total fixed cost divided by total output. Mean what you have to do? You have to divide 900 divided by 1000. You will get average fixed cost. And this becomes $0.9 per unit. Got that? Now, what's the next? Variable cost of producing 1 unit of TV is a 500 as already given in the question. Okay. Total variable cost for the producing 1000 TVs in a month. Simply, what you have to do? Variable cost VC you will multiply by with total output unit. Like that was a 1001. So what do you have to do? You will multiply by variable cost, which is known as 500. So 500 multiplied by 1000. Now that's become 5 lakh. Got my point? Now the third, we have to find the average variable cost. So average variable cost, if you remember, the formula is total variable cost divided by total unit produced. Total unit produced, okay, in a month. So what you have to do? Average total cost, initially was TVC, total variable cost. So 5 lakh divided by the total unit output, that's become 1001. Now this become 500. Now what is your turning point? If you want to see, Shariz, that your question is right or wrong, I already mentioned that AVC, average variable cost, would be the same as variable cost per unit. Now look at 5 lakh divided by the 1000, you got 500, and if you see the variable cost per unit already given in the question, it's a 500. Okay, this is the place you can see that either your question is wrong or right. Okay, now the total cost. Total cost is equal to total fixed cost plus total variable cost. Simply total fixed cost, we have 900, we have to pay at every rate. Now total fixed cost we already getting, it's a 5 lakh. So that's become 5 lakh and 900. The last we said we have to find the average cost, and average cost formula is total cost divided by the total output. The total cost we have 5 lakh 900 and total production was 1001. So we get $500.9. So we have another formula, you can put it in the order to get average cost.